Welcome to my kitchen. I am Bee from Thermomix and I hope you will enjoy today's session in my kitchen with my handy little helper, my Thermomix. So today's little recipe is going to be a side dish that will accompany some some sausages for my family. They don't usually have sausage, but in this instance I thought that it would go perfectly with this dish. So they will be enjoying that, and I will be enjoying, as a vegan, some extra, what do you call them, chickpeas, as my option that's going to be added to this. So the recipe I will be making is Greek and lentil rice, and it is an American recipe. So if you are trying to look for this and you would like to make this, just make sure that you have your filter on correctly so that you can access the American recipe. So the very first step of this recipe is to actually put your basket, your simmering basket, on top. Now I have gone ahead and I've done this step, so my basket is full, but I'm going to explain it to you. What you're going to do is weigh in 6 ounces of green lentils. So this is what they look like. Now obviously I've gone ahead and I've put those under the tap and I've rinsed them. So this is the first part, that is your green lentils, your French lentils. So 6 ounces of that. And then you're going to skip over to the next step, which is to add in your rice. So that will be 8 ounces of white basmati rice. And then same thing as it explains there, remove that off the top portion, and you're going to make sure that you rinse that very well. The reason is the rice will have a lot of starch in it, and a lot of times lentils will have little bits of stone or little bits of pieces in it, so make sure that you wash them out. Now if you do have time, what really does help is actually if you can soak those for a little bit of some time, maybe half an hour, sometimes even the whole day, depending on what time you have. If you're going out to work, you can weigh those, soak them, go off, and then come back and start the recipe. It helps reduce the time for cooking, and also it makes it swell easier, clean out. I think that's the best thing to do. So next thing what we're going to do, so I'm going to put that aside. What we're going to do is then put a bowl on the lid, and I have done this step ahead, and then weigh in 7 ounces of your fresh tomatoes. So what you're going to do is just cube them. It says 1/4 of an inch, just a small little piece like that. So once you have done that, it's roughly 2 large tomatoes. You're going to weigh that 7 ounces. And then you're going to set that aside, because that will go on top of your dressing, or it's your dressing for your rice and your lentils. All right, so the next part is to actually cook some vegetables that is going to go into your lentil and rice mixture. So the first thing we're going to add in is some carrots. So it basically just says a 1 inch size. All I did was just basically peel. You don't even need to peel if you don't want to. Chop those up and get that ready to go into the bowl. So I've gone ahead and I've pre-weighed these out. So 4 ounces of your carrots. It was 1 large carrot. 9 ounces of yellow onion quartered. So it wasn't, I just used a brown onion, so don't worry about it being yellow. And then 4 cloves of garlic. So what we're going to then do is add in a 1/2 ounce worth of your oil. So olive oil. All right. And then we're also going to add in 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And then the last ingredient is 1/8 teaspoon of black pepper. So if you're not a fan of black pepper, just leave this portion out. That's no problem at all. And then what we're going to do is blitz this. This will be for 2 seconds on speed number 5. All right, and then what we need to do is just scrape that down and cook that for, and it says, by the way, without your measuring cup. I've just noticed I'm going to just show you there. Can you see there's a bigger piece of the onion? I'm actually going to repeat that little step again so that I don't have a massive piece of that in there, the onion. So I'm just going to go back to that step. Always feel free to do the same thing. So if you're not happy with the results and you think you might need to actually repeat that step, just go back. And there we go. I will show you this. That's much, much better. So scrape that down, and there will be a bit of a cook time for this. So there we go. This is for 5 minutes on 250 degrees Fahrenheit and speed number 1. So while that is cooking, I will explain what the next portion of the recipe is. So that will be removed from your bowl once that has completed cooking. Hi Yvonne! You are a sweetheart and you're amazing too, darling. Just helping you guys to see this is a really, really easy recipe. So this is going to now cook for the 5 minutes, and that will be transferred into a bowl that will keep it lovely and warm. And then the next portion of the recipe is actually really simple. You're going to add a bit of flavoring, so you definitely want to have these two ingredients. So a dry bay leaf, or if you're lucky enough, a fresh one off of your tree, and then a sprig of fresh rosemary. If you don't have the fresh one, just use the dried version, a teaspoon worth. And what it will ask you then is to add that in, and it says add in 32 ounces of vegetable stock. But what I would suggest to do is to actually add that 32 ounces worth of water, and then get your vegetable stock paste that you would make and have stored inside your fridge, and put in a tablespoon of that. Now you can adjust the saltiness according to what your preference is, but I would say that would be the best bet. The next ingredient it calls for is 8 ounces of water. So you're going to do the same thing, that's just the water added in. And then add in your simmering stock. I'm crying because of the onion. So you not simmering stock, your simmering basket. So put that in, and then make sure obviously your lentils and your rice are clean. And then you're going to actually then cook that for, it actually shows you to mix it around, and it's just agitating the lentils and the rice that's in there for 5 seconds. So that will walk you through that step on your machine with your guided recipe. What you want to do then is please make sure you put your measuring cup in. That will retain the heat and the steam inside your bowl, which will then mean for 20 minutes you're going to cook that with Varoma setting. So that's going to steam beautifully inside of there, and obviously once that is done, you will then add that into the carrot and onion mixture, and then it actually says to serve it immediately with some crumbled feta cheese and some fresh herbs. So whatever your preference is, if you love coriander and parsley, crumble that on. It's about 4 ounces it says, but obviously you can go to town if you want to use the whole block, depending on how many guests you have or who's eating there with you. And then your fresh herbs that you can just sprinkle on over the top. So please give this recipe a try. It may not sound like it's going to be anything interesting, but the saltiness of that beautiful feta and your fresh herbs, it's almost like a version of a tabbouleh, but it is lovely rice and lentils instead. So I hope you have enjoyed this little recipe today. That's the steps that you can follow. If there's any questions that you have about this recipe, please let me know. I'll be happy to help you. I will also include the link for you to go and click on so you can access the recipe at the end of the session. But as I say, if you have any queries, let me know. And I hope you guys have a wonderful evening tonight. And if there's anything I can help you with, just let me know. I'm Bea from Thermomix. Have a great evening. Take care.